How many discounts does USAA Auto Insurance offer? Too many to say here. Multi-vehicle discount, safe driver discount, new vehicle discount, storage discount, legacy.
How many discounts will you stack up? Visit USAA.com/auto discounts. Restrictions apply.
Hilton brings you new ways to stay. With experiences that let you capture the glory days. Introducing the Graduate Hotels. Each inspired by local college towns, these stays are always original and never boring. Get in touch with traditions all across the country and enjoy a stay that's a class above the rest. Book at Graduate Hotels with Hilton Honors Points at Hilton.com. It's a win-win. Hilton, for the stay.
Out here, there's no one way of doing things. No unwritten rules. And no shortage of adventure. Because out here, the only requirement is having fun. Bank of America invites kids 6 to 18 to golf with us. For a limited time, sign them up for a free one-year membership, giving them access to discounted tee times at thousands of courses. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/golf with us. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America. Restrictions apply. See BofA.com/golf with us for complete details. Copyright 2025 Bank of America Corporation.
Welcome to another Find the Edge production for the Premier League Cricket Club. Connecting players and coaches, clubs and leagues, volunteers and supporters alike, you're in the right place for the best of the 33 ECB Premier Leagues and the 20 NCCA counties, bringing you the stories, the stats and the standout performances that make this game great. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button to both our Premier League and NCCA shows so you don't miss any episodes. Now, shall we get stuck in? So welcome everybody to the Premier League Cricket Show, and it's the third match week for us to talk about. Once again, brought to you from our friends at B3 Cricket. With me as always, Mr. Hugh Newsome, sponsored by crickstats.ai. How are we doing, Hugh?
Crickstat.ai, tastic.
Absolutely. So Dan, did you hear that? Well, we're getting really bad at this, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
And joining us this week, so there are 6 leagues that have got started this weekend in Birmingham, Cornwall, Devon, South Wales, the Southern Premier League and the West of England League. But there's another league that got started a week or two ago that we wanted to get a guest on from ASAP. So joining us this week, we've got the captain of the back-to-back Huddersfield Premier League, Eddie Walmsley. How are you doing, mate?
Afternoon, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure, sir. Eddie's the captain at Moorlands, who have won the league for the last 2 years and then transitioned from 24 to 25. Huddersfield has become the 33rd Premier League officially, although I'm sure a lot of people in that league would have said it was up there in the bloody first place, to say the least, Eddie, wouldn't they?
I think a few would argue with that, yeah. It's becoming a strong league, yeah, to be fair to it. We've got some decent size knocking about now. Tell
me, you've been at Moorlands, 8-9 years now, haven't you? Yeah. In terms of the strength there versus when you were at Methley, put the 2 and 2 together, Huddersfield and Bradford.
Ooh, so, well, when I first joined Methley, I was in the old Central Yorkshire League, which got disbanded.
Yeah.
So we then moved across to the Bradford League Championship. We got put into there.
Right.
Which was quite a strong division, nowhere near the strength of the Bradford Premier League, which I would argue is the strongest league in our area. Mm-hmm. I would say we would sit between the Bradford League Premiership and the Bradford League Championship in terms of the level of the standard.
Okay, that's a bloody good standard then.
It's decent. There's some good players, a lot of good overseas cricketers, good local hard cricket. There's a lot of good sides knocking around who play it quite tough.
Absolutely.
Yeah, decent standard, I'd say, yeah.
It's, for people who are listening to this pod, they're going to get used to these names through the season as we talk about clubs in the Huddersfield League. They're new to me and you, a lot of them. Who would you put up there in that sort of top 3 or 4 clubs in the league, apart from Moorlands, who've won the league back-to-back, Eddie?
Yeah, so historically, we're a fairly new Huddersfield League team. So obviously, Moorlands was a Central Yorkshire League team as well, and they moved across to the Huddersfield League. So I know I've been there 8 years, but I don't think we've been in the Huddersfield League that long.
Okay.
Maybe 15 years. It might be even less than that.
Yeah.
So we're not one of the original Huddersfield League teams, which doesn't go down too well, I don't think, with a few of the clubs.
Okay. In what way?
Especially with us winning it. I think we're seen as a bit of an outsider team. So we're the furthest team east.
Yeah.
Where all the Huddersfield teams are quite close together, barring a couple of other sides like Hoyle and Swain, who are going towards Barnsley. Delph going obviously in Oldham.
Yeah.
The Huddersfield League teams are all very close by, so I think we're seen as a bit of an outsider. I would say that's coming from my opinion, that they might not
Yeah, but correct me if I'm wrong. Based upon what happened in 2015 when the 4 Yorkshire leagues became Premier Leagues, and the idea was not to have too much travel, but actually you've now got the likes of Townville and Castleford 6 minutes apart, but in different leagues.
Yeah,
It
I don't
doesn't
really
make much
understand
difference.
I don't really understand how that worked, because I was only a young player in those days, so I wasn't involved in those in terms of deciding who goes where. But travel seems to have got worse rather than better. So I'm not really sure how that because Castleford, we played Sesse in the ECB league last week or the week before, and I believe they're in Castleford's league and they're miles apart.
100%. And there are some very long drives around even some of those 4 Yorkshire leagues and now 5 Yorkshire leagues. Yours is probably actually as close to this as it gets, to be frank.
Well, ours isn't too bad for travelling, and ours is a decent league. You're never going probably more than 25 minutes.
Oh, that's got to be one of the closest in the country, Hugh.
Well, it's got to be right up there with local rivalries as well. Getting stuck into each other. Obviously being a bit of an outsider and being 25 minutes end to end is, that's you're not really outsider there, are you?
Not really.
Not in the slightest. Hey, let's have a quick look around the Huddersfield results over the weekend, Hugh, to start with. We're going to go around this week, mainly the 6 leagues that have got up and running. But looking at the weekend, you guys, you suffered your first defeat at the weekend at Shepley, didn't you, Eddie?
Yeah.
You got 50, so you had a decent day yourself.
Yeah, it's easier for me to hand out tellings off if you get some yourself as captain. So
yeah, what was going on there this week?
To be fair, I think it was Shepley were a decent side. They're one on to your last question where you mentioned who the best sides are.
Yeah,
it's a strange league because all the teams are pretty similar. There's no. I'm sure you're probably aware of Hoyle and Swain, who are a very good team, and they managed to attract a lot of ex-county players and lads who've played on the county circuit. So they're always up there every year with the amount of money they spend.
Yeah.
The rest of the teams, I'd say, are all fairly equal. So if you can put some consistency together, you find yourself up there. If you struggle a little bit, you go down to the bottom. There was a league last year or the year before where there was something ridiculous, like 10 points between 3rd and 9th.
Wow.
So most teams beat each other. And Shepley, one of those teams where they've got a lot of experienced players. Max Joyce, Danny Glover. They've got some decent players in there. Tom Chadwick.
Mm-hmm.
So there's players who can, if they have a day out, then you can get turned over, and that's unfortunately that's what happened. It was a bit of the pitch looked fairly dry. We thought it might get a bit worse, and unfortunately we seemed to get the worst of it, and they bowled really well up front, and we've got a decent top 5 batting order, and they managed to get us out early, which you don't win many games when your top 5 don't perform in our standard.
No, just looking at the scorecard. Opening batting with 13 runs. Marcus Walmsley. So that's your brother, is it?
That's my brother, yeah.
Yeah, that's your brother. And then we were talking about brothers later on. And then not a lot in between them and you. You get yourself 59 and you get yourself 4 wickets. And I've got you as about 14th on the list of best all-rounders in the country this weekend. So you can feel smug in your contributions and have a word with everyone else.
Right, I'll have to keep that one in the back pocket because my brother's he's won the all-round of the year 2 years in a row for our league, so I might have to slip that one into conversation later on.
Well, unless they got the bowlers mixed up when they were putting it into play
no,
cricket.
That's definitely me this week. I'm taking it this week.
Well, 50 plus of 4 wickets, anyone's going to say thank you very much for that day out, aren't they, to say the least?
That's right,
yeah. I know, but like I keep reminding them, it doesn't mean anything when you end up with 0 points. So
Absolutely.
Come back this week.
When we talk about all-rounders, you talk about Hoyle and Swain, you're down the road there. They got Mr. Samit Patel playing for them this year, who he turned up and got 3 for 47 this week and managed to score 29 of 24 balls. But the guy who excites me the most, actually, at Hoyle and Swain is the guy, Harpreet Singh Bhatia, who they brought in from Doncaster last year. He's one of their overseas. Have you seen or heard much about him so far? Because he looks an exciting prospect.
All I've heard about him is that he's played IPL. That's all I know. I don't really know much else other than that. But you don't really play for them unless you know what you're doing.
No, not this. And when Ben Kohler-Cadbore's out for 4, and you've still got Harpreet around you, and you've got Samit, like you say, the money's been spent. Clearly, they've got the boys in there, haven't they?
Yeah, they've got a good side. There's no weak links. And that's if you're going to win the Huddersfield League, you've got to beat a team like that over 22 weeks, which is hard to do. They've got like Luke Bridges at 5. He's been a consistent run scorer for Barkisland, who's moved there this year.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of bowling options, good left arm spinners, which is always gold dust in league cricket. So they're going to be very tough to beat this year.
Absolutely. Let's jump down south, shall we, Hugh? And let's talk about another league that there's been quite a few changes on, and they started last week. And let's go down to one of our top 3 or 4, I reckon, to watch this year, the Cornwall League. The Cornwall League got up and running under great weather, so happy days, because last year it was crap. There's no two ways about it. So they actually got a full day's worth of cricket in there. And, the team who got the biggest signings, without a shadow, Penzance, got caught cold on day one and got beat by St Austell, who, for those of you who heard our preview that we did with Joe White from Callington last week, he called St Austell as the dark horses. And Penzance found that, didn't they?
Yeah, well, we've got 3 brothers, I assume, Alex Bone, Michael Bone, Gary Bone, all getting stuck in there. Michael with just 1, but Alex and Gary, 79 and 58 respectively. So Penzance got bowled out, for 219. So very, very close affair. We do see it though with teams that go big, don't they? It takes a while for them to settle.
Yeah.
We see it around the country.
I think you can have too many changes, can't you?
Absolutely. Settled sides, was it Chelmsford last year in the Essex League, we really settled, got the job done. So it's going to take a bit of time for them to settle. It's whether they can settle and gel quick enough. But yeah, a great start, great game of cricket. That's the main thing. And yeah, we'll keep an eye on them for the rest of the week. But yeah, just jumping around some of the other results. Grandpound Road, easily beaten by Wadebridge. Wadebridge put 263 on the board. And James Turpin with 137. Hoskins with 54 for Grandpound Road. So yeah, it was a great effort from him to put up 137 off just 115 balls.
Point something out in that game. The Grandpound Road been promoted up to the Premier League in Cornwall this year. They may have been bowled out for 164, but they didn't die trying, because that was in 23 overs.
Yes.
So they went after it at 6 and over and just got bowled out. Yeah, if they're going to play that sort of cricket, they're going to be good to watch, aren't they?
Well, whether it's kamikaze cricket or whether it was the way to go, but yeah, we got Dave Hoskins opening the batting there, striking at 225, 54 off just 24 balls. You can see the panic running through when somebody goes off like that at the top of the order, but he didn't really get the support. There's a lot of ducks on the card. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, it's he didn't get support, but I think a lot of fun in the bar early. Job done. Go again next week.
Absolutely. I think the other game to highlight there is we spoke to Joe White from Callington on Friday, did as a preview of the Cornwall League. They went up against Warrington, and it was a bit of a Premier League cricket club special, that one, because John Moon of Warrington got himself 50. We spoke to John while he was down in Australia playing with James Meggett and Dan Blatherwick over the winter. But then you look who took the wickets there. Look at the bowling figures for Callington there. Mohammed Daniel, 4 for 36. Max Trifonos, 7 overs, 0 for 9. That's going to be good at any standard. But then the old-timer, inverted commas, sorry, Waggy, Graham Wagg, ex-professional, 5 overs, 3 for 4. Now, this is an ex-seamer who's now bowling spin. It just shows that he can do it. And he did it at the weekend as well for Cornwall, playing for Cornwall in the NCCA stuff as well.
There's a bit of an outlier in that little bowling card there. And Spencer Watley, 3 overs, 1 for 38.
Yeah, I didn't want to mention that.
Sorry, Spencer. You got a wicket, so Max Trifonos didn't get a wicket. So, and it might have been the crucial one, but everyone else has gone under 3s and some under 1.
Keep an eye out for that name, though. I think Spencer's the 17-year-old and he's rapid. I think that might have been his Premier League debut. But I know, talking to Joe over the weekend, to say thank you for the preview, etc. They got through, they won the game, but it wasn't exactly a flying start for them, was it?
No, but also, just looking at Spencer, he's bowled 13 overs and he's got 7 wickets already this season. So I think he's doing all right. Just went for a few on the weekend, but his job wasn't probably keeping the things tight. It was get wickets, and he got one.
It is definitely. Just coming back to you, Eddie. We talk about the changes down at Penzance there. Is that something that you look in your league in particular, with the likes of Hoyle and Swain, the amount of players that they've brought in? It could be a case of or bust. There's so many changes in a squad. It's a big thing to handle, isn't it?
Yeah, they've had a bit of a turnover of players, but when you're bringing in the caliber of players they're bringing in, they seem to hit the ground running. The rest professionals or current professionals, so they're training a lot, they're hitting a lot of balls. They usually do well straight away. Whereas in contrast, the rest of the clubs tend to stay the same. They're all local lads who play for the local teams, all come through the junior leagues usually. So most of the other teams stay the same. I'd say us and Hoyland Swain probably have the most turnover of players.
What can you tell us about your pro, who I don't think you've got him in there, your overseas yet, have you?
Yeah, he's in. He's Sahil Dias. He bats at 4, Sri Lankan.
Mm-hmm.
He got 113 and 90 in the friendlies, and I don't think he's got a run since in the league. And he went up to Sessi and didn't get a bat, so we're hoping he's going to go back to his early form this week.
And go back to friendly form rather than league form.
Yeah, but he looks a decent player. He's a typical Sri Lankan. He's slight build, only little, but times it really well, plays spin well. Nice, happy fella. He's fitted in really well for us. So
just a batter or all-rounder?
He bats. He's a better batter than he is a bowler. We've been told he bowls leg spin, but I've seen it and I'm not so sure. I might have to wait until the middle of the summer until I bowl him again.
Hang on a minute. It's dry as a bone out there right now.
Well, it doesn't matter how dry it is if you land it halfway down.
Correct. Yeah, without a shadow. I've seen a bit of that at the weekend myself, definitely.
The new McCrispy Strip is here. Dip approved by ketchup, tangy barbecue, honey mustard, Sprite, McFlurry, Big Mac sauce, double dipped in buffalo and ranch, more ranch, and creamy chili McCrispy Strip Dip. Now at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Hey, let's move further north to Cornwall, south of Huddersfield. One of our more local leagues, Hugh. Let's have a look at the Birmingham District League that got up and running at the weekend. The champions from that league last year, Smethwick, they were involved in what I can best describe as an absolute smash hit blast game. They got beat by Barton Green, but Smethwick were all out for 227 after just under 40 overs. Barton Green then chased it down 231 for 3 off 24 overs.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about going hard at the top, and Eddie Pollock, 107 off 56 balls opening the batting, and his mate, H.J. Cullen, 81 off 50 balls. Yeah. So game, set and match.
Yeah,
after
I've got to say, Deepak Khatri for Smethwick had scored 118 off 76 in that game as well.
Yeah. It's I mean, 227 bowled out in 40 overs. They left a bit out there, didn't they? And
they did.
Obviously, the pitch was rather useful, and Barton Green were able to take advantage. But again, another early finish, and a lot of fun to be had fishing balls out of all sorts of places. But
yeah,
we've got 11
I'm sorry,
sixes in
I think
Green.
Barton Green had somewhere to go. 107 off 56 and 81 off 50. Those boys have got a stag do. They've got something that night, because there's no way you go that hard, surely.
Well, they got the job done, didn't they? I mean, yeah, it's you kind of see that when the total's a bit lower than that, don't you? Yeah. You 150s, 140, well, even down to 100, you just go, right, we've got nothing to lose here. Let's get the job done quickly before the panic sets in. But yeah, chasing 227. Yeah, that's a brave. And Bazball strikes in the Birmingham League.
Absolutely. What else you got in the Birmingham League, mate?
We've got quite a bit going on. Obviously, Wolverhampton had another good game. That 227 is right up there again. Wolverhampton got it with a couple of overs to go, 4 down. Reeve Evetts, 78 off 130 balls for Wolverhampton. And some decent performances from Walmsley to get the job done. Yeah, we talked about Deepak Khatri with 118 and Eddie Pollock 107 in the Barton Green games, a couple of hundreds there. George Hargrave, one of my favourite cricketers, Mr. Superman, playing for Shrewsbury, 91. He always seems to get runs whenever I'm paying attention. 91 off 112 for Shrewsbury as they knocked over Nolan Dorridge very comfortably. Bowled Nolan Dorridge out for just 114. Sam Whitney 3 for 17, Finn Jones 3 for 26 for them, and Dusty Melton 1 for 17.
Yeah, I've got to point out there, if anyone wants to watch a video of the perfect top of off stump ball, it's Mr. Dustin Melton's wicket that he took at the weekend. Now, you won't mind me saying 6 overs, 1 for 17. He'd fancied a few more, but when you watch the wicket, it's like, just show that to your kids. That's how to bowl it.
Yeah, he's rather useful. Yeah, there's a few lopsided results in this league. Himley, 109, where they bowled out. Let's look, 109 all out. Yep.
Yeah.
Harborne, 208 for 9 in there, 50. So there's a big lopsided game there. And then Berkswell, Halzowen. Is that how you pronounce Halesowen?
Halesowen.
Halesowen. We'll go Halesowen. Halesowen, 300. Bowled out with a few balls to go. And then Berkswell, 147 all out in just 33. Sam Gregory, 76 for Halesowen, and Alex Kervesi, 50 off 45 balls. And then Mashallah Kazkil, 3 for 24, and Kieran Baker-Smith, 2 for 11. Comfortable there. And top of the tree, Barnard's Green, Moseley, another 100-run gap between the two teams, 305 Barnard's Green, Moseley all out for 213. Oliver Haley on 94 off 102 balls, with Ryan Tongue 91 as well, and then Chris Steele 4 for 57 for Barnard's Green. Moseley had Jacob Bouleth 79 off just 52 balls. So yeah.
I think we need to do a bit of investigation into the Berkswell side in that league as well, because they had Theo Wiley bowling 10 overs and getting 4 for 50. And we haven't seen Theo bowl that much recently. He's been concentrating in Warwickshire 2s very much on his batting. But we also had somebody up in the bowling called Ryan Sidebottom.
Well, is that the Aussie?
Is it the Aussie, or is it a side bottom of a side bottom?
Well, I assume it's the Aussie version of Ryan Sidebottom. I do find it amazing that there's two Ryan Sidebottoms both playing cricket. But
I got them mixed up on socials last year, and the Ryan Sidebottom actually came back to us and had a bit of a laugh with us, which is bloody typical of him. But that was before he started making TikToks. I don't think I want to make that mistake now, because some of Ryan's TikToks right now are slightly strange, to say the least.
He's not got the full Matt Letitia, has he?
Oh, no, not that way. No, completely different altogether. Anyway, talking of lopsided games and totals, just give us an idea, Eddie, up in the Huddersfield Leagues. I can't gauge it right now. What are you talking about as a score that you're targeting when you're going out at your place at home?
Well, I think it depends where you are, really. Like, we're notoriously got one of the flat pitches, so you want to be getting 240 plus really on that ground most of the time. Early season a bit different. It sounds like there's some flat pitches the further south you go. In the Huddersfield League, you can get some damp green pitches. The few clubs have got these hybrids in, so it can differ from place to place. But I think what our top three usually do in previous seasons is they usually have a look and then tell us what they think a winning score would be, and we usually go by that. It can change weekly, but at home we're looking for 240, 250 plus on a good day.
Yeah, and it shows when you look at the scores around the league at the weekend. Just at the weekend, the scores are so variable. I know. Okay, Rastrick bowled Skelmanthorpe out for 76. That's going to happen. There's always going to be one of them, though, isn't there? But the home sides are scoring 190, 150, 200. Yeah, there's no the biggest score's 276 by Rastrick at Skelmanthorpe, but there's no one gone 3 plus, is there?
No, Skelmanthorpe can. It depends what time you can go there. That it can be very flat there, and it's quite small. There's a slope on it, so you can score quickly there. We've been there a couple of times though, where we bowled them out for 50, and we've been 5-6 down getting them, so it can be a bit of a minefield. So it just depends on the day, really, in the Huddersfield League. I don't know why that is. There's some big grounds like Honley. Usually, if you get 200 there, you win because it's a big ground, and it's usually good for spinners. And then there's grounds like Orlandswain where you probably need 280 plus to probably beat them.
Well, what's the perfect makeup of a side in the Huddersfield League? Is it a similar format to the Bradford League and things like that? Is there a set? Are you always looking for something a set structured format, or are you jumping about based on players that are available?
Yeah, I can't speak on other teams really and what their recruitment side is. I think it's quite difficult for the Huddersfield teams to sign players because they keep it in-house. Usually they promote juniors who are ready to go. Like I know Golka, they have a lot of junior players in their team that don't really go anywhere else for other players. They usually try and sign a good overseas, but most of their teams win up for juniors. For me, because my junior career was in the Bradford League, and we know a lot. Me and my brother and Jonathan Rudge, who opens the bowling for us, he's from Carlton. So we know quite a few Bradford League players, so we can dip in there for our players. Whereas I think the Huddersfield League sometimes struggle with people wanting to travel to home games. It's probably too far for them. Whereas it's too far. For me, we've got quite a lot of bowling. You need a lot of bowling options because there can be days, especially on these small grounds, nice grounds like Scores, for example. Sometimes it's not your day, and you bowl 2 or 3 overs and you're off, and we don't see you again. So the more bowling options you can have, the better. And I don't know what you guys think, but for me, the more spinners you have, I think you're harder to beat.
There you go, Hugh. We got there in the end. It said the more spinners, we got there, didn't we?
We always assume it's the case, but it's you need to we need to learn from the people, the horses on the ground, and see what they feel like. But
I think in our league the spinners usually top of the table. Apart from we've probably arguably got the best seamer in Jonathan Nudge, left arm, but he's a left arm swing bowler who just attacks the stumps. He's a very good bowler.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, Hugh. The best figures of the weekend were in which league?
The Huddersfield League.
There you go.
Gulham Hussain at Rastrick with 7 for about 34, I think he was.
I don't know him. I've not met him before. I don't think they came up last year. They won the championship last year.
Yeah, and that was the best bowling figures in Premier League cricket across the whole country of the weekend. The only other 7 for was Andrew Sutcliffe for Todmorden against Middleton in the Lancashire League. So we don't see many 7-fers. We saw an 8 for last week, but to see one from the Huddersfield League early doors, it's something to keep an eye on there, Hugh.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we could run through the top takers now. It'd be perfect link. It's like Radio 5 all over again. Yeah, Gulham Hussain with his 7 wickets for 34 for Rastrick against Skelmanthorpe in the Huddersfield League. We said that. Todmorden's Andrew Sutcliffe with 742. We didn't see any 7-fers last week. Did we get 8 for last week? And then a lot of 6-fers. But the wickets pretty hard to come by. Most weeks last year we were seeing probably multiple 7-fers on multiple weekends. Scott Tite and Timmy Taylor both got 6-fers. Timmy Taylor 6 for 32. Honley against Goldcart, also in the Huddersfield League. Scott Tite in the Lincolnshire League of Sleaford against Market Deeping was 6 for 37. And then Ijaz Alavi, which is an interesting one. Wallasey, obviously, Mr. Ruakar left Wallasey, so they replaced him with a left-arm orthodox who's a captain of Fitzroy Doncaster in first grade Melbourne.
Is he?
Playing as an overseas amateur. So I think oh great, somebody's not playing the league, and then this lad rocks up, really experienced cricketer, and gets 6.
I wonder if they've nicknamed him Summit.
Yeah, well, you could well do. Yeah, you might as well just copy and paste. So yeah, that's a terrific performance from him. When you're a captain in Fitzroy Doncaster, you're going to be a serious cricketer, aren't you? You're going to add a lot of value to the club. So that looks like a terrific signing. Popped up on our radar there. Yeah, 20 overs he bowled, 6 for 52.
Yeah, and I think the other 6 that I want to point out is Ahmed Safi Abdullah for Birkenhead Park against Lee. He took the wickets of Ben Martindale, who Lee have just signed. He plays for Nottinghamshire. Nottinghamshire 2s today, funnily enough, he's playing for as we record. He also took the wicket of Matthew McKiernan, so he's quality. And correct me if I'm wrong, young Oscar Gaunt.
Yeah,
6 for Swarkston.
Yes, he actually done a little bit of coaching with my lad back in the day as well, so that's nice to see. He was there, he's been there 2 years. He was at Opera before that and has moved to Swarkston the last couple of years and done well. So that's a great start for him. It'll be interesting to see his season progressing. But with the wickets being as they are, that's a great effort from him.
As we're talking wickets, I've got to talk about what I'm going to class as the shock result of the weekend for me, and it's not that far away from Eddie. Sheffield Collegiate bowled out for 49 at the weekend and beaten by Wakefield Thorns 55 for 2. That's the fastest finishing game in the entire Premier League in the entire country. Just 33 overs bowled between the two. Renowned, aren't they, still, Sheffield Collegiate, Eddie?
Yeah, they're a good side. I've not played against them for a while. That's Joe Root's team, I believe. Sheffield Collegiate, yeah.
Amongst them.
I think they're in our ECB group as well.
Oh, I can check that. I will check that without a doubt to say that I know they were fancying a run in that. But there were a couple of other really quick ones over the weekend as well. Bethesda up in North Wales bowled out for 63, and Darwin in the Lancashire League bowled out for 62. So, we do get these little strange results that pop up around the country, and it's just nice to pick them up for the right and wrong reasons sometimes, without a shadow. Let's go down south again, shall we, Hugh? And shall we go to the Whipple? Let's go to the West of England Premier League, where last year, I can't remember now whether it was 4, 5, 6 or 10. There was that many clubs could have won it at the end of the season. It was won in the end by Pottern, who won by bonus points at the end, by 2 points. Here's a close one for you, Eddie. There were 3 points across 3 teams for the top 3 of that league last year. Couldn't have got any closer. But Pottern didn't exactly get off to the start that I wanted to as champions, did they, Hugh?
No, that's what happens in these leagues. It's tough, and the Whipple is tough. Taunton St Andrews got the job done. Taunton St Andrews batted first, bowled out for 230, and then a scrum of a finish. Pottern bowled out for 228 in just 34 overs. So they were knocking along. I wouldn't say nicely, because Ben Huntley at number 10 with 32 off just 27 balls. But Simon Moorlands, not renowned for his batting, very, very much renowned for his quality bowling. We might have picked on him a little bit last year, yeah. But the big not out, that's what was more important there for Simon Moorlands. Big not out, but it's not off 2 balls with a big not out. But sadly for Pottern, they just didn't quite get over the line, but a really, really great game of cricket. I want to jump on Bridgewater, Bedminster. I was very, very had the great pleasure of spending a bit of time with Ollie Meadows of Loughborough and Bedminster over the winter when he was on my level 2 coaching course. It was a lot of fun and made everybody else look crap. He's been in incredible form for Loughborough, getting 200s against first-class counties. He's been getting second-team hundreds. He's getting 99s. Rocks up against Bridgewater, 13 off 19 balls, thus proving that Premier League cricket is much, much more difficult and a higher standard than first-class cricket.
Absolutely. I think it proves that you can score all these runs for your university, but once you come up against Matt Burton, Cam Harding, Aman Rao, Jake Lintott, Alex Russell played for Bridgewater. Alex was taking wickets for fun down in Zimbabwe, as we know, over the winter. Premier League cricket standards are not what people think. If you're not a regular at Premier League level, you've got to be seeing what the crack there is. And these are some top players, aren't they?
Yeah, well, it must be so frustrating. You're just knocking off the runs for. I mean, Ollie Meadows. It's literally been every innings he seems to be getting 100, and then it's crashed back down to earth there. If you look at the top 5 there, nobody's got. Well, he's the top scorer in the top 5 with 13. Paul Muchel with 83 is the one who's sort of given him a chance. It's Bridgewater got it 2 down in 24 overs. So a great win for them and a great start. James Regan, 91 off 78 balls, and Alex Eklund with 43. And you mentioned Alex Russell there, 10 overs, 4 for 41. Great start from him. But some good games around the place.
Saw Alex on Sunday playing for Wales National County as well. He's enjoying his cricket. You can see he's really enjoying it. He'd been let go by Northampton. He'd been looking to find some good cricket to play at. He's playing at Bridgewater, playing for Wales National County. Batted really well for Wales National County as well, which me and Hugh, over the winter, he did some good things down in Zimbabwe with his bat as well.
He did,
But it's his bowling that we want to be watching. And he did drag 1 or 2 down, because these spinners do. But he took wickets, and that's the key, isn't it?
Yeah, but there's some great games of cricket in the Whipple. The first weekend of it, and Bristol, they put up 2-2-3 in their first innings for 9 in their 50 overs, and they bowled Thornbury out for 2-2-1 with 3 balls remaining. So another really, really great game of cricket. Sort of people chipping in on the scorecard there. Rishi Panchal 38, Ashi Lakhani 20. Jake Carstens 53, Jack Ellison 52. Everyone's just put a score up for Bristol. Got them up to 2-2-3. And then Robbie O'Donnell was 70 and Harry Thomas with 39. But just bowled out with a couple of runs shy of their total. Really nice game of cricket. And then down in Froster was a bit of a letdown. Froster 352, which is one of the highest scores of the weekend. Have we got a higher score, Ian? You've been looking at those?
The highest score of the weekend was Which one did you point out?
Froster 352
Oh yeah,
for 9.
that was one of the highest scores of the weekend, but the highest number of runs in any game whatsoever was in the Bradford League between Woodlands and Bradford Bingley, who scored 680 runs between them.
Wow.
Woodlands scoring 352 for 5, and Bradford and Bingley all out for 328. You're getting entertainment up there, aren't you?
Absolutely, yeah. So Froster there, 352. They had a performance from Ed Middleton, 123, and you got 4 for 18 as well. Pretty useful. And then Down End, bowled out for 139. It's one of those totals that possibly is a bit beyond a lot of teams. So why not go out swinging? And Down End looked like they did that. And then Burbage and Eastern Royal against Bath. Burbage all out for 97. Bath got it 6 down, so it wasn't plain sailing for Bath, but they got the job done in 25 overs.
Absolutely. I do personally think keep an eye on Bath this year. I think they missed out last year. They were very disappointed to miss out last year on, there was a number of games that went close, they didn't get there. And I think this year they'll want to be getting over the line in those games and getting towards the end of the season and being up there to potentially win it, definitely.
ChatGPT Plus is free for college students through May. Here's the thing. You've got a lot to do between now and then. Studying for finals, writing papers, trying to keep your life on track. And ChatGPT can help with all of it. It can quiz you for your econ exam, make a study guide from your French notes, plan out your meals and study breaks. It can get really specific on how you like to learn. It can even help you come up with ways to stop procrastinating. So from now until summer break, take advantage of all the ways ChatGPT can make your life easier. Restrictions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Just coming back to you, Eddie, you talked about the ECB National Championship. You won up at Sesse in the preliminary round 2. You've got this weekend coming up. You got a little trip to Tickhill, not too far to go, is it?
Too far. I think is it near Doncaster? I've never been before.
Yeah.
I've not really heard much about them. I've seen on their social media they seem to have signed quite a few players. They look a decent team on paper. A few of our lads have been there before, and they say they're usually a good side, so we're expecting a good test.
How important is the National Championship to you guys?
This is only our second year in it, and last year we had to forfeit the first round because of so much weather. It clashed with our Sykes Domestic Cup. Yeah. So we were forced to choose, so we had to go with our Domestic Cup. So this is our first year we've actually played a game in it, so we're just... It's nice to get out of your own league and go somewhere else and play against some different teams and play some lads who you've never played before. Almost like going into the unknown. Whereas in the league games, you know what you're going to come up against. You know it's going to be tough. Who the good players are. Who are the ones you can probably target a bit more. Whereas the unknown makes it a bit more of an exciting game, maybe.
Absolutely.
Yeah, have you got good availability for amongst the group? Is everyone raring to go?
You're not allowed to miss games in this league, in this club, should I say? That's heavily frowned upon. Anybody missing games for holidays or stag do's, so we try and avoid that.
So you're a bit like Gary Knight. You're Oppo in the police. You make sure they get married before the summer and not sort of during the summer.
I got married on the 15th of September, the week after the season last year. So I expect everyone to follow suit.
And we saw Knighty get married a week or two before the season over in Liverpool, and he's had great form since, so it must be the right thing for him.
Well, he's a class player, Gary. I won't mind having a few of those in my team.
Well, I'm just looking at your group, as you say, in your group in the National Championship. You get past Tickhill, you've got a trip to, you have a home tie in the next one then. It'll either be Barnard Castle, who will have a long trip down to you, or Sheffield Collegiate. The big game in your group, I think, this weekend, though, outside of yours, mate, is South North, up in the northeast. They're at home to Castleford. And Cass have made some big signings during the winter. Yesterday, they won the K3 Dental Cup, as it's called, up in their league. And I think they won it back-to-back, and now they're hoping to win it back-to-back, according to Colson and the boys up there. But that's a tough group to get out of into the Nationals, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I've had a look through all the groups, and I don't think there's any easy group. There's some good sides in that. So if any team who gets to the last stage of that cup's a decent side, so we're just hoping to start with, just to get to grips with the new format. We've not played 40 over cricket before, so that was a bit of something different for us last week. Maybe thinking about changing the batting order around, but I don't know if that'll go down with my top four. But yeah, we're looking forward to it. It seems like a good comp, some good strong sides in it. So expecting some tough tests. Hopefully we can get through.
Well, you do have the carrot at the end of that in September the 20th. It is back at Lords this year. I'm pretty sure me and you will be tempted to be at Lords that day for that final, because we had a bloody good day at Worcester last year.
Well, I'm just tempted to go and see this K3 Dental Cup. It's good for teams to get their teeth stuck into, isn't it?
Oh, on that note, I should move on to the next league.
Sorry.
Because I thought my puns were bad, but Mr. Newsome's outdoing me this week. That's not odd. Yeah. Although, as you may have noticed, everyone, we haven't got Mr. Matt Taft today, so at least we haven't got anybody from Crick X that we can take the mickey out of. Let's move along the road from the Whipple to one of the other leagues that got started at the weekend, and we're breezing through the last couple there now. Let's have a look at the South Wales League, where I actually had the pleasure of going down to Swansea at the weekend. And for those of you who don't know, Swansea Cricket Club are playing their games for the last season ever at the very historic St Helens Cricket Ground. This is the cricket ground where Sir Garfield Sobers hit his 6 6s and all of that, black and white, back in the day. And if you talk to people down there, everybody seemed to have been there that day. It's funny that, isn't it? Everyone seems to have seen it. I've heard of Clive Lloyd hitting the ball onto the beach from there. Had a stunning day down there to be down in Swansea. The weather was beautiful. Unfortunately for the boys from Swansea, the result, it wasn't exactly what they wanted, Hugh.
No, bowled out for 150. Yeah. And then Pontadolis 152 for 2, so it was a pretty easy win for them. But we can't have everything. But if we've got a cricket club by the sea, it's that's just to be enjoyed. But it's a real sad times. I mean, what's the feeling like at Swansea about the move? Are they sort of positive about how it's going to come down, or?
Yeah, it's one of those ones where they're almost been forced to move out of St Helens because the Ospreys are going to take it over as a rugby ground and do lots of work there. But what the plans that they've got for their new ground down at, I think it's called Sketty Lane, they sound quite impressive. And any cricket club who gets a clean sheet of paper and gets the opportunity to move somewhere, and obviously financials have got to be right for everyone, it's not a bad place to be in the first place for them. But I think they're going through a bit of a change at Swansea, because obviously they had Brad Wadland there last year as head coach and captain. Brad's now down at Penzance. They've lost a number of other players as well during the winter. Their top two batters were Brad and Steph Roberts last year. They've lost both of them. So they've gone through a number of changes. They had some youngsters playing at the weekend who didn't do themselves any harm. I was very impressed by Ossian Webber, the opening bowler for Swansea. He looks a tidy bowler, to say the least. If I look the other side, Lewis Edwards batting for Pontadoula. Keep an eye on him this year. I just, the way you watch someone and think, that's a player to watch for the rest of the season. He could be quite an interesting one, to say the least. Very good. Yeah, a few of the results from around the league then. Cardiff, they bowled out for 147 against Newport. Newport got it done, none down. So that's, Michael Clade and Harry Friend, both with 77, 66 between them, each. And then Bridgend, St Fagans, Bridgend put up 248, and St Fagans weren't able to chase it down. Alex Pearson 54 for Bridgend, St Fagans. Jeremy Lawler 66. Owen Morgan, not that one, 45 off 52. And then Ammanford and Astawi with a big total 283 for 6 in their 50, and Ammanford bowled out for 169. So another lopsided game. We seem to be having exceptionally close games or very lopsided games. We do, and we also have got there St Fagans, last year's champions. They got beat in their first game as well. It seems to be a bit of a trend here where, I hate to tell you boys down in the home counties and all those other type of leagues, and Essex get going this weekend, a lot of the champions have been beaten first came out, which is not how you want to start the season. You guys didn't get beat first game out though, did you, Eddie?
No, but we could have done. We were, I think we must have been 40 for 4 or maybe 40 for 5. Our number 7 got 75 not out, so he dragged us out with the mire that day. We need to start booking our ideas up quickly, otherwise we're going to be on the receiving end again.
But is that back to what you were saying earlier? It is just going to be one of those seasons, in particular, even more so potentially, that anyone can beat anybody in your league.
Yeah, it is one of those leagues where Oil and Swain, they won it 5 years in a row, I think, before we won it the last two. And they ran away with a couple. The rest of the teams, especially from maybe 2-3 down to 7-8, they're quite similar sides. If you can have a consistent season or get a good group together, like we seem to have done the past 2 years, you can go all the way. Yeah. But there's not really any team who runs away, and there's two teams don't sink either. There seem to be, they don't get relegated early. It goes all the way down, and like I said, anybody can beat anybody on the day.
Okay, so the big question for me before we just look very quickly at the last league, big question for me. If I was going to put a date in my diary to come to a Premier League game in the Huddersfield League, which game should I be looking at? Which is the big rivalry? I'm going to ask the obvious. Is it you and Hoyle and Swain?
To be fair, there used to be quite a big rivalry between us and Hoyle and Swain, but it's not. It's a rivalry in terms of the league, but I wouldn't call it it's not the feistiest game.
Oh, go on then. Who's the feistiest that you play?
I don't. The feistiest team that we play against, I don't know. We clash with quite a few, to be fair. We're not. I don't think we're a very well liked, team. We seem to rub people up the wrong way. I might have to have a look at why, but we have a rivalry with Skulls. They're a good side. More to do because I'd say we're probably quite similar. They're a good team. They're one of those sides where they play well together, a bit similarly towards. I'm not sure if you'll the Townville in the Bradford League. They're a similar side where they all live quite close to the ground.
Yeah,
and they've got a good unit. I'd say Skulls fall into that bracket. Who else will there be? Honley are usually all right, but they've lost for the first two games. But they're what I would call one of the old school Huddersfield League teams that have been good in the past.
Brilliant.
They've got some good players. You mentioned Timmy Taylor. He's a great player.
Yeah, well, I'll be looking at the diary and seeing which one I'm going to pop to, because unlike where I was at Swansea last weekend, which was a bloody long way, you guys are within about an hour and a half of us, so it's not too bad in the slightest. So
right.
Just let's have a look at the other league that started at the weekend. And at last, we have a champion, Bradninch and Kentisbeer in Devon. They won their first game and actually won it bloody comfortably down in the Devon League there, Hugh.
And I mean, you can pronounce that one.
Bradninch and Kentisbeer.
Kentisbeer, there we go. Yeah, decent start for them. Heathcote bowled out for 121 and they got it 4 down. Jonathan Trinner, 46 or 42 balls. Theo Lamy, 42 from 47, and Mitchell Pugh 3 for 27. Got a few runs as well. Exmouth Plymouth 292 for 9. Great sort of team effort. Lots of people putting numbers on the board there. James Hall of 58, Cameron Kidd 73, Dan Pyle 85 off just 67 balls, and then supported by Cameron Kidd with 4 for 26. They bowled Plymouth out for 259. You know, they did a good job trying to get there, but didn't quite make it. They had 3 overs in the bank. Could have gone their way. Cornwood North Devon. Cornwood put up 210 in there. It's getting wrong. I need to sort it out so it's the right way around on my thing. North Devon put up 209 all out in just 36 overs. They would motor in for a big score, but ran out of batters. Jay Rothery 70, Fred King 54 at the top, and then not a lot behind that. And then Cornwood had it the opposite way round. They lost their openers relatively cheaply, and 6 and 7 did the business, both with 68 in Matt Schemer and Ryan Rickard, and they got the job done in 43 overs, 4 down. And then Sidmouth Paynton, Sidmouth 197 all out in their 46, and Paynton got it 6 down in 35 overs. Charlie Gaywood 60 off 104 for Sidmouth, and Ayabula Gakmana 54 from 37 for Paynton. Luke Bednott with 3 for 43 for them. So good team effort all round, wickets and runs being shared about.
And while we're down there, let's just quickly go across to that final league that got going at the weekend, and I seem to have missed it. Sorry, boys. It's the Southern Premier League. The lads at Bournemouth will be saying, Livo, what you're doing. But hey, let's talk about the guys who won the league last year. So the Hampshire Academy won the Southern Premier League last year, and they started their season at Mohammed Ashrafal's Portsmouth CC, and they got themselves up to a great start. But I'll just ask Eddie this question first. Hampshire's Academy play in the Premier League down in the Southern Prem. How do you fancy having the Yorkshire Academy playing in one of your leagues?
Well, they used to play in one of the leagues around us, didn't they? And then it stopped. I don't really know why that happened. on that, most saying the lad who got 200 for Woodlands, he was a Yorkshire Academy player.
He was.
Who went around the league. So to be fair, I don't see an issue with that. If they're going to be coming into future county players, it's a good opportunity for them to play against tough league cricket, and it's a good opportunity for us to see potentially future Yorkshire, future England players and play against them before they get going.
Exactly, and if they're not going to quite make it, maybe they can come and join your club or another club, can't they, as well? So,
well, yeah, you can always have a chat at the end of the game, can't you? Over a drink,
absolutely.
Maybe try and entice them over.
The guys at Hampshire scored 264 for 8 in their 50 overs in the Southern Premier League. 264 with a highest score of 63 for Ollie Webster. And the guys at Portsmouth, even with Mohammed Ashraf scoring 71, didn't get even close and got beat by 80 runs. So the guys at the Hampshire Academy will be very pleased with that start to the season. Just anything else, any couple of pointers elsewhere in the league for you there, Hugh?
Yeah, I mean, the Hampshire Academy is an interesting one, isn't it? They're so strong. I mean, Hampshire just seem to be doing well, similar to Somerset in producing young players. They've got some serious talents coming through. So, I think historically the academy teams didn't always dominate these Premier Leagues, the ones that have gone in, but Hampshire seem incredibly strong at the moment, and they've just obviously got a production line of talent that come through that seem to be able to compete against all the main sides. So yeah, it's an interesting one to watch, see if they can go back to back, and obviously they'll have different players every year motoring through. But yeah, there's some relatively close games. South Wilts Alton was South Wilts batted first. They got bowled out for 178, and Alton got it 5 down in 40 overs. A few of the Bournemouth Basingstoke, that was a sort of a messier game for Basingstoke, bowled out for 186, and then Bournemouth got it 1 down with James Van Gool with 55, Luke Webb 71.
Friend of the show, Tom Robinson, very pleased that he didn't have to bat or bowl for Bournemouth at the weekend, but not good for his target of 1,000 runs this season, Robbo. You want to get 1,000 runs. Now, bear in mind, Eddie, this is someone who is making a great lot of noise on Instagram and TikTok, and Robbo's doing a great job, TJR Cricket. But he's put himself a challenge out there for 1,000 runs this season. He's counting friendlies, which I think is a bit dodgy, to say the least.
Dodgy.
Yeah, but then when you don't get to play at the weekend and you don't get to bat or bowl, you're not going to get your 1,000 runs there, Robbo, are you? But you're professional at Bournemouth who came in, Sean Fouch, one of the last signings I saw towards the end. He took 3 wickets for Bournemouth, so good start for them there.
Yeah, and St Cross, Burridge was a really good game. St Cross, 230 all out in 47 overs. George Mackenzie 66 and Charlie Gwynn with 50. And then Burridge bowled out for 226 with 10 balls to spare. So that could have really gone either way. And they were looking reasonably well set. Then the last few wickets went down in a bit of a hurry, leaving Daniel Stancliffe not out on 70 off 95 balls.
I was going to say, it's not quite a carnage alert, but it did sort of go along that way. And we're coming towards the end of this show, and just a couple of other things to point out to everyone. So one of our favourite stats we always look at is the biggest chase of the week, and which club in the country has actually managed to chase down the biggest total. This week, it's up in the northeast. Ashington, 295 for 7. I think you've done the job there, boys. And then Shotley Bridge, 299 for 9 with 43.5 overs. With a certain Oliver and Joe Gibson, number 10 and 11 at the crease. Joe hitting the winning runs. So 299 chasing down 295. But there were actually, Hugh, 5 games with 250 or more chases this week around the country. And I've got to give a shout out to the team I'm starting to call the entertainers. Chester Boughton Hall, who seems to have just been scoring runs for fun, managed to score 282 for 5 this week. But Bowden knocked them off. 283 for 5. So yeah, that wasn't what they wanted to end up on there. So some big numbers around the country, and as this weather continues, Eddie, we're just seeing huge numbers generally around the country, and even in leagues like the Huddersfield Leagues, probably slightly higher than you'd expected this time of year.
Yeah, I tell you what, there sounds like some flat wickets knocking around. 280 plus in May, early May. I don't know if we're getting a bit more rain than everywhere else, but the wickets aren't that dry.
Or are your ground staff happy to use the hose pipe?
Well, yeah, that might be one of the tactics we might have to resort to. We're lucky with our ground staff. We've got 4 or 5 who volunteer, but I know some clubs struggle, especially in the Huddersfield League. So I think it depends on how available your groundsman is. Those ones who those older gentlemen groundsmen, dare I say, who sit on a roller all week. They're the grounds who teams tend to do well in terms of big scores.
Absolutely.
Well, we've got two lads already over 300 runs in just 3 innings. Diego Rossier, who actually pretty much failed on the weekend, is still over 300 runs at Denton West. And then Sean Gilson at Hucknall, he's got 328 runs in his 3 innings. He had a top knock this weekend with 149 against Welbeck. So he's the South African overseas coming for Hucknall. So but then we've got lads, we've got 16, 17 more players over 200 runs already this season. So I think that we could be seeing some records broken if the weather continues.
We will be keeping a very close eye on that. Looking at your place at the end for this season, then, what would you put out there as your expectations there, Eddie? Obviously, you want to go back to back with the league, if possible.
Yeah, well, I think we sit down at the start of the year and we want to compete on all fronts. So we want to try and we've won it 2 years in a row, the league, so we want to go for a third. We won the cup 2 years in a row in 2021 and 2022, but we lost in the final 2023 and the semi-final last year. So the Sites Cup, something we want back. So we're going to, but like I said, our chairman, myself and the senior players, we want to win as much as we can. We'll fire on all cylinders to try and get as many cups as we can. And
yourself personally, you've got bloody good numbers, mate. There's no two ways about it. There aren't many people out there who can say they've got 6,500 runs and 350 wickets on play cricket in the first place. What would you challenge yourself for this year?
You know what? I get a bit of stick in my own club, but I am usually down at 6 and 7, and I bowled on the weekend, but I don't usually get a ball in my team, so it was a bit of a surprise there. I know a lot of captains tend to fall into this. I wouldn't say a trap, but they tend to fall into this where they're kind of on the back burner a little bit, and you push your other players in front, and you try and give everybody else more of a game. And I think I may have fallen victim to that a little bit. But I think part of my game, as I've got older, and learn about my game a bit more, my job really is to see the innings in. So 6 and 7 is usually where I bat. So numbers for me aren't really an issue. It's more of when I get them rather than how many I get.
Absolutely, that's key, isn't it? Well, you've averaged getting on for 700-ish runs over the last 4 seasons. For someone batting that low, that ain't bad going, Hugh, is it?
Right, useful numbers, and it's that depth that we talk about in league-winning depth, isn't it?
Absolutely, without a doubt. Hey, thanks for joining us, Eddie, and giving us that sort of bit more knowledge than we probably previously had, me and Hugh. We've done a lot of sort of looking into the Huddersfield League over the last few months as things have been cracking off, but it's all new to us. Sounds awful when you say the 32 leagues. We know them far better than we know that new one. But these names are going to come up regularly now over this season, and we'll keep an eye on what's happening across Huddersfield.
Pleasure. Thank you very much for having me, guys. Really appreciate it. You've got a great show. Thank you.
Thanks you very much, mate. Cheers now. See you later, Hugh.
Cheers, everybody.
Thanks for joining us at the Premier League Cricket Club. We'll be back soon with more from the world of Premier League and NCCA cricket. But in the meantime, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review and follow us wherever you get your socials. Or maybe check out our website, premierleaguecricket.co.uk, to stay updated. Until next time, have a good one.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.